Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you and Gloves Off, and I'm Paul Buitrón. I have a great guest, one that's been fighting for the rights of parents in Texas for a long time, Sarah Johnston. And I've seen her work. I've seen her work in Capitol Hill, and what she's done is phenomenal. But today's concern is the one of tragedy that I think everybody in Texas knows about, what happened in Lubbock. Well, Sarah, how are we doing? I hope your Thanksgiving went well.
I had a very good Thanksgiving. It was very family focused. So it was excellent. And I hope you had a great time with your children as well.
We had the kids this year, and it was a wonderful time. And my daughter wanted to start tie-dyeing. So guess what we were doing? We're tie-dyeing shirts. But that's just the way it is. And that's something that we have to find out how our children are doing, because and what they like, really, what they like to do. If they're into art, let's help them out. If they're into reading, let's help them out. If they're into cars, let's go for it, And I think that's what parents need to come back to the basics and start caring for our kids. But let's talk about what happened in Lubbock. That's something that hits home. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, for one, I think it's a horrible tragedy for that family, particularly for the child involved. This is the third incident in the United States this fall that I have seen spread throughout our community. It is the second father that during a custody exchange was unprovoked murdered. I say unprovoked because yes, the gentleman was disagreeing with his ex-wife, but as a Texan, as a proud gun owner, as a Second Right Amendment supporter, I feel that we all have to admit that a gun was drawn when it was unnecessary, that I'm not sure who taught that gentleman gun safety, gun purpose, gun etiquette, but it was not the same people that taught me all of that. So you have a gentleman who is being denied his parenting time. A felony, according to the state penal code 2503, was being committed by the ex-wife, and her boyfriend was abetting in it. So you start there. And the thing that really gets me is that this last session, we had so many good bills that would have strengthened 2503, would have strengthened the police response to 2503, and probably we would not be where we are right now. This family would not have suffered this tragedy if legislators had finished reviewing that bill, had put it up for a vote, had gotten it into law. There were several of them that would have helped this, not only in 2503, but then we have our maximized parenting, equal shared parenting, whatever you want to call it, bill that was blocked in the committee. So there are all of these things that as parents in Texas who are dealing in the family courts, we've been working with legislators to clean up, because we keep telling them tragedy is going to happen. Someone is going to be killed. Some child is going to be hurt. And if you go look at the news just in our own state, you're going to see not just this case, you're going to see a gazillion reports about children being abused, about the one parent being removed from the child's life and the child not having that other set of eyes to make sure that they're being taken care of, that they're watching, that they're loved. And it's just a horrible tragedy. All of it is, and it's preventable. We just need to get legislators to update the laws, to take child custody interference seriously, to accept the fact that equality means equality between mom and dad, that children have a right to equal time with both fit and loving parents, and that it doesn't matter what some one person does. We're talking about the vast majority of children here. And I'm a little shocked that we've allowed it to get to this point, and nobody in the legislature is taking ownership of that.
I agree with you 100%. When I saw the video, and I saw it over and over and over, and as you can tell, I'm for the Second Amendment. I hunt. I carry concealed. I know gun etiquette. My children grew up with guns and gun safety and so on and so forth. And I'm for the second, but I'm also for self-defense. A lot of individuals are going to say that the castle doctrine goes into this. A lot of individuals are going to say that he went after the gun and he defended himself in self-defense. No, the person that threatened was a person that pulled out the gun in the first place. And he was threatening. He went inside and he grabbed the gun, came outside with it. This and many more, like you say, that they're happening throughout, not only Texas, throughout all the states. And I'm going to talk about Texas only because we've been dealing with 2503 here in Texas. And we've done, especially in Webb County, I'm going to talk about Webb County. In the last 5 years, there's never been an arrest, but there has been several arrests of fathers, it's unfortunate, that have gone to go pick up their children, and the police arrest the father instead of arresting the mother who's interfering, who's doing the actual felony. The district attorney, we've worked with him, we've tried to deal with them, and they've changed their tune from 8 incident reports to 3 consecutive reports. To understand what I'm saying? So it's not the district attorney as per se, it's his little de facto district attorneys that are in there, that are prosecutors that are making up as they go along. The police, they tell the police that they're not going to arrest, that they're not going to file, continue. If they arrest them, they're not going to continue to prosecute them. So the police won't do it. So you have this pointing the fingers, but the blood on the hands of this murder falls on the police and falls on the DA of that county. And it's a tragedy. It's a father that's no longer going to be with his child. It's a child that lost his father. Now that child hates the stepfather. So imagine the type of household that child is going to grow up in. Imagine the animosity that's going to happen right there. So we need to start taking it seriously. I agree with you with legislation. I think they've understood this problem existed, and they're kind of like kicking it down the street, but it's kind of stopped. It's kind of like, now we have people coming up in front, and now they're claiming that we have to do something about it. This is what I tell folks, and this is my opinion. Others might differ, but this is what I tell folks. The posturing in front of legislation in Capitol Hill, I think, has stopped. I think we have to start electing people out of office and electing people into office. So most of the people that I know around now, I tell them, if you see an incumbent judge, I don't care whether he's family court, county court, district court, and he has an opponent next to him, regardless if it's Republican or Democrat, vote for the other one. We already know what we have. So if we can start changing judges, district attorneys, including chiefs of police, I think we're going to start making this whole place better. Because you talk to police officers, Sarah, and some of them understand and some of them do not understand what's going on. The older police understand it, the younger ones do not. So we have to re-educate the police departments and what is 2503 and what is interference.
Well, and it's not just the police department, it's the general public. So we have
Absolutely.
25003 on the books. We tell everybody, the general public, that we have this law. You have to follow it. It's in the back of every divorce decree, instructions to a police officer and what they're supposed to do. The thing of it is there's a difference between what is in writing and what is actually happening. So everybody believes it's being enforced.
Do we have it in the back of every decree?
Yes, it's standard in the back of every decree, at least every one I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot.
I'm pretty sure, because I don't think mine. I know that if child support's in the back of it, incarceration. I hope interference with child custody should be in the back as well. And I think if it is, I think people might, as a paragraph, might take it a little bit more serious.
Right, in the back of all recent decrees, there's a little section with instructions to police officers for enforcing the decree as written. The problem is then you get into the discussion of the police don't know which is the most current decree. Maybe this person has one that's 5 years old and there's a new one. Have they filed something? And I get all of that, but we wouldn't have instructions in the back of those decrees if it wasn't already a problem and we felt we needed it. We wouldn't have the penal code itself on the books if it wasn't already a problem and it was felt that it was necessary. So when you look at the long string of things that say, hey, this is needed and no action is being taken, and the general public is being told, look at what all we have to make sure kids have equal access to their parents when they don't, it's just a bunch of political promises. And that's the only way I can think of it, because it's like flowery words, but no substance. There's no action behind those words. So to me, it's like comparing it to campaign promises. Oh, we're going to do this as a state. We have this beautiful thing, but in the end, we don't do anything with it. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. And we could go on, and you're absolutely correct. But I think it sets in the back how to enforce the decree. I think we need it in the back as standard. Interfering with child custody is a state jail felony. If this is going on, the police have to arrest and I think we have to have that as standard in the back of each decree from now on.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That would be a good place to have things put in there.
Because you have it when you don't pay, but the attorney general, if you don't pay, you're going to be incarcerated, and this can happen to you. This can happen. You have all that. I don't know how come you don't have that law in there.
Right. No, I mean that's a great idea, because then they couldn't just say, well, it's a civil matter. And I know with this case in Lubbock, that's what I'm seeing a lot of people say, well, why didn't he call the cops? That's what the cops are supposed to come help you get your kid. Supposed to and happens are two different things. And I don't know how many people I have gotten into a discussion with on social media about this, but fathers who've been at this for a while and who have dealt with this type of situation over and over again, they aren't going to call the police officers again because they're going to get told it's a civil matter. Or the police officers are not going to show up. Wasn't it last year that Dallas put out a thing saying that their original plan was they weren't even going to send officers on those calls? You were going to go through like an IVR, automatic prompting, to get to leave a message or something. I mean, the police aren't even taking it seriously enough that they want to show up for it.
I mean, when you start getting messages like that, those are directives from the district attorney. That's when the whole community has to say, you know what, the district attorney has to go. We have to find another, and it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's red or blue. You change them, and then let's see how this one does, and take it forward. But when you have, or else you're going to get a kind of a, how can I say, a little deity, becomes a little deity on the corner there. That I'm the district attorney. I can do whatever I want, and I command all the police and law enforcement here in the county. And that's not what the law is. That is not what the law is. That's not what the directive of the district attorney is. Now the police have to arrest. It's a state jail felony. They don't arrest. Nobody has. You can look it up, and the statistics are there. You can look it up how many open records requests we've checked from everybody. Nobody's ever been arrested. Fathers have. In fact, fathers have been arrested and don't even give them trespassing, and they'll put something else on there. Fathers have been arrested left and right. Well, they're just doing what the decree states.
Right. There have been several fathers who've gotten trespassing charges for being at an address that is in their decree at the assigned time to pick up their child, and they are being charged with trespassing. So something needs to happen, and I'm in agreement with you. As a community, we need to use our voice. I may politically align with one party more so than another, but
Absolutely.
I'm not afraid to cross an aisle. If somebody comes out in support of family law reform, and that is one of my top priorities with my vote, with my voice as a Texan, and the person who is in support with what I agree with and what I believe in, they're going to be the person that gets my vote. I don't care if they're a different party than what I normally lean toward. That's how you want to get my vote, then support it and actually do it. Don't say, oh, I support shared parenting, get in office, and then not do anything, because then that's just going to go poorly. But if you want our votes, you need to start supporting our children's rights. And that shouldn't just be the people of the shared parenting community. That should be everybody. That should be every grandmother. That should be every aunt, every uncle, every whatever. If you are of voting age in the state of Texas and your family has been negatively impacted by the family court system, you need to use your vote and you need to put it behind somebody who says, yes, you guys are right. The family court system is not working the way it was supposed to work. We are harming children. We are abusing children. We are creating situations in which parents are being murdered when they are attempting to follow the court order. And we need to just say, my vote is for the person who's going to help clean this up.
Absolutely. So now, once more, the tragedy happened. There's been so many. And so many parents, I know several fathers, including myself, that you're filing a report and the police officer takes 2 steps back and here comes out and wheels a gun. And you're like, whoa, back up a little bit. File against a police officer when they how can I say, when they cross the line and you go to internal affairs, nothing's going to happen. So this is what I say to all the parents out there, and it's usually father. That's why I keep saying father. You all have to stay calm, be calm, take pictures, take a witness, record what's going on. If they don't want to give you your child, call the police, wait outside, go to the nearest corner store, buy something for you to have a receipt that you were in the vicinity, take pictures, have a file and record. And if the police officer comes in and he does not want to arrest the parent that is doing the infraction, file a criminal complaint against the police officer. And the more criminal complaints that we do against police officers, the more police chiefs are going to start picking up their ear and start maybe changing the way they look at 2503.
Right. Well, and then there's a group of Texas parents who specialize in this Texas interference with 2503, interference with child custody. It's a base
group is great. Yeah, it's 2503, Penal Code 2503 with George Saldana and Derek Berry. They're doing some excellent work, and there's others in that group as well.
Right, and they're really the experts. They're the ones, in my opinion, that when it comes to 2503, really have the suggestions on how to make sure it's documented, and getting the offense report versus just a regular police report. And if they refuse to give it to you, these are the steps that you need to try to take in order to do that. So if anybody is having issues with that, I would definitely say that they need to join that group or get in contact with that group and start learning some of those things. And that's the other thing I'm going to suggest here is that we have a lot of grassroots type parent groups here in the state of Texas that are focused here in the state of Texas. They know the laws. They work with the Texas legislators. They are very involved in every aspect of this. So I would definitely say if you are in Texas and you're dealing with something, you need to find one of those groups. I definitely say the grassroots ones that have been started and are being run by Texas parents are much more my preference. So that's just my suggestion. I used to be a part of larger groups, but I think when you get to that level, you lose sight of your state and the focus on your state. And I don't know that this last session, I felt very productive for the children of Texas. So that's where I think we all need to redirect ourselves. We need to be looking at our own states. Let's fix our own house first. And once we fix our own house, then we can go help other people fix their houses. So that's just, like you said, everybody who watches the show, everybody who's a part of one of these other groups, they have to use their vote. We know certain governor candidates have come out in support of shared parenting. I believe so. Huffines did, Panther did.
Prather.
Oh, not Panther. What?
Chad Prather.
Yeah, blonde moment. And then I believe that there was a third who came out in support of it. Alan West has said before that he believes in equality, but I challenge everybody to start looking into the people who have said that they support it. Look to see who's really in support of it. Look to see who's done the podcast, who has gone out and answered everybody's questions when people in the community have held their feet to the fire and asked them questions, who came back with answers and who came back with a campaign answer.
Absolutely. I know for a fact through here, Don Huffines has said that he's for it several times, not just once, several times in several different places. I've heard that Alan West said something about equality in another podcast. And I've heard Prather as well, that they love children. But we really this is something that we need to get behind. And let me put it to you this way. Not only Republicans are behind this, Democrats are as well. One of the champions for some of these bills was Richard Raymond, and as well as Militant as well, so and one of them's a Democrat and one of them's a Republican, and they're both fighting for it. So like I tell people, family court, there's no red or blue. You have to start understanding that if you have a bad family judge that's Republican and there's a Democrat running for him, you know what? My vote goes to the Democrat. Let's change this person that's in here right now. Let's change him quick. Let's not have him poison our kids anymore. Let's get him out of the way. And if this Democrat really doesn't work, we got 4 more years. We can change him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the way I look at things, and that's the way people should start looking at how we're going to fix this. We have a district attorney that has not done anything, and believe me, the majority of district attorneys in the state of Texas has not done anything. So when you have another district attorney come up, well, guess what? We have to vote for that other one. Let's just change things to see what changes, and if it changes for the better, because we already know what we have. No district attorney is backing up 2503. You have the one here in Webb County, but he backs it up, but his prosecutors are over there paying tiddlywinks. And you have some of the sheriffs that want to help, but they can't help because all of a sudden they say, well, the district attorney won't prosecute. So you're like,
right. Well, and sadly, though, I mean, great, but sadly, Representative Middleton announced the other day that he is running for senator. So if you live in his area, you need to make sure that you are are finding out about that information. We
Absolutely.
all know the people who blocked the shared parenting bills. We know the people who blocked the 2503 bills. So if you live in that area, it is your responsibility to vote for the other person. If you want to make a difference and you want the laws passed, then you have to vote for the other person, because the person who blocked the bill, the person who, so there's been a couple of incidences where several people in the shared parenting community have been removed already from events that some of these legislators are having. So when they get up to ask questions, they get exceptionally nasty responses. And a couple of places there were definitely hate-fueled sexism coming from the legislator themselves. And as a woman, I don't find that behavior, it was done by other women, and I don't find that behavior appropriate. It's not okay. Just because you're a woman does not mean that you get to just raise your voice and tell a man pretty much his opinion doesn't matter because he's a man. That's not what equality is. That is you expecting to have special privileges because you're a woman. And the rest of us that believe in equality believe in equality. That means we're even. So I just find the behavior ridiculous. I was very disappointed in the leaving during the special sessions, because there was hope that we might could get some more of our bills through in that case and protect the children of Texas. And really the thing is we're playing these games. The legislators that are blocking these bills are playing these political games. Their interest isn't the children. They don't care that by blocking the bills, this situation in Lubbock could have been stopped. Any number of those bills would have de-escalated that immediately. You wouldn't have, if you had shared parenting, first of all, you wouldn't have family court creating drama, creating fighting, creating violence. If 2503, if any of the bills for 2503 that strengthened it would have been passed and would have gone into effect in September, it would have been the correct response to call the police. I firmly believe that would have been what happened, and we wouldn't have had this instance happen. But instead, we've got to play this whole blue versus red, men versus women. I'm a feminist and you owe child support. Or, for example, my son got up there and not basically, I mean, he outright said that one of the legislators in her rant about the back and forth and all that stuff was inaccurate. And, I mean, you can't do that. These are children's lives that you're playing with. And just so you can show that you're a badass lady who made it into politics and you're a hard ass, you want to say no to equal shared parenting or strengthening 2503 because you need to put the men down. You just need to make men know their place, which is beneath you. That is not equality. That is nothing but being an idiot. And if your legislator is one of those people that was acting like that, then you better get down there. You better vote for the other person. I don't care if they're with a different party than yours. I don't care. Unless you are okay with a legislator getting up in front of the legislator, in front of their campaign stops, in front of everybody that would listen, making hateful comments about men, accusing men of being only violent, and pretty much telling you mean nothing to them because you're a man and you're a father. If you're okay with that, then I mean, I'll just go color in my corner. But I don't know many people who really, if they thought about it and that's what they're doing, would be okay with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was heartening to see the attitudes and how everything was. And like I said, the only way we're going to change this is to vote people out and vote people in. And right now it's a time. It's a time because they're not paying attention to us when we go up there. And I guess now the only way they're going to pay attention to us is through our votes.
Well, I mean, that's our next step, because I can tell you it was I've never been treated like trash by any of the male legislators. I've never been treated poorly because I'm a woman. They've never been anything but extreme gentlemen, no matter which side of the aisle they're on. All of their staff has been nothing but nice. However, last session, a female legislator, because I was with what is considered a male movement, I was not even allowed to meet with her staff in her office. I had to sit on a bench out in the hallway, and no one would tell me why, but I will tell you right now, in my opinion, that it was to teach me a lesson that I'm a defector to the feminist movement, and if I can't get on board with their man-hating, then I can sit in the hallway like a lesser person. That's unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. And then for them to work with a lobbyist who is on video all over the place on YouTube, threatening people, spoke down to me as though I was an imbecile, to which their significant other was like, okay, back it off. You're being a little too much here. Quite frankly, I don't find that acceptable either. You want to talk about all of this stuff, but then you have a grown, exceptionally old man at the Capitol who you're allowing to walk around bullying and being abusive to citizens that are there to voice it. He's a paid lobbyist. And you're not only allowing him, you're encouraging him to bully the citizens to not use their voice. I can't get over. Sorry, I know I'm talking like a lot about this, but
No,
I
no,
just
but
can't get over it.
let's put it this way: people need to understand the courage that you all had to go up there, number one, and what you all had to sustain by the abuse of those that actually do not want these laws to change. And this blood goes to all those that opposed these bills. The blood of this father in Lubbock, that goes to all the DA, the police in Lubbock, and all the legislations over there in Capitol Hill. And how many more of these weekends do we going to have to see for a father to get shot or get killed before people are going to say, oh, wait a minute, there's something wrong? How many? This past year, it's been 3 or 4 that I can count, that I can count just this year. I think 3 that have crossed social media. And this has nothing to do with the castle doctrine, for those of you going out there for self-defense and if I could do this and I could stay my ground. No, it has nothing to do with that. They were already committing a felony. And yes, the person said, do it, show me, do it, and went up to him and postured in front of him. But that stepfather or boyfriend or whoever that was that pulled out that gun should not have been brandishing the gun anyway. He knew exactly what was going on. So he crossed the line right then and there.
The discharge of the gun as a warning shot, that escalated it. And for those people who say, well, then the dad went for the gun. Well, what are you going to do? If somebody is brandishing a gun, shoots the ground at your feet, you're going to go for that gun. And unless you're curled up in a ball crying, I mean, I don't know anybody who would have somebody shooting at them and not attempt to stop it.
The problem is that people need to understand that sometimes we have to pick our battles, and without the police there, and police coming in and blaming a person that is in the right, because right now the father that passed away, that was killed, that was murdered, was in his right. And so right now the blood of this father, and I say it, and people can say whatever they want against me, I'm thick-skinned, goes to the DA of Lubbock, the police of Lubbock, and all those legislators that try to stop this. And the only way we're going to change it now is by voting. And I think we have to have some other sit down between all the folks that went up there in legislation, because some of us weren't there, and find out who were the ones who were actually there, point them out, and have people in those areas understand why they shouldn't vote for them. And basically start calling out all these judges and district attorneys for not doing their jobs. And if there is somebody that's running against them, support the other person. Let's just change them for right now. And I think right now is a time to start using our power of vote to remove those that have been doing the wrong for so many years.
Right. Well,
That's
and
my
if you
opinion.
right, and if you live in an area and you're wondering about your legislator, you can reach out to many of the groups as long as they're not 501(c)(3)s that can't give political opinions. We have many grassroots groups that are simply just groups of parents that we have named, so we're not actual anything. So you can always reach out and ask, what would that group score your individual state representative or state senator? What were they? Were they in support of? Were they against? When we went to their offices, how was their behavior? We had a representative who called the police. Her office called the police on the group of parents that was going through, including the LULAC president in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So this is during the rally. So these are things that you guys all need to really get in contact with the different people and ask, what was my legislator doing? And then if this is important to you, that's your vote, your voice.
Absolutely. Well, number one, prayers go out to the remainder family, and our condolences to the family of the gentleman that lost his life in Lubbock. Our prayers are with you. And our prayers are with everybody that's going through some hardships, especially with parental alienation, because this is something that is very minute, as we've been studying, to something that is very aggressive, as to what we saw on that video. And I'm not going to play the video on here because I really do not want to show the death of somebody, but everybody can probably find it on YouTube.
Just make sure if you do, you look at both angles and not at the edited versions. You need to watch the whole film, because there are a couple of them where I've seen in other states where they've edited things down and it makes it look a completely different picture than if you watch the whole thing at once.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sarah, keep fighting, keep doing what you do.
You too. And I can't wait till next legislative session.
I can't wait till this voting session comes in. Let's see who can change and we can bring in for the betterment of our kids of Texas. Till next time, much peace.